offensive seasons ever, the highest points per game since Michael Jordan in 86-87, including 9 50-point games, 9 of them, and that 32-game streak of 30-point games. He also recorded the second highest usage rate in history. Much on his shoulders, a tall order for the Jazz to try to stop him, and they've been up to the task in terms of slowing down the Rockets' offensive attack. In 4 games this season, Houston's had some of their worst offensive games against this excellent Utah Jazz defense. So, Brendan, how does this play out in the postseason?
I think it still plays out with Houston winning the series, but Utah is a team that can make the series very ugly because they do have a lot of rim presence. When you talk about Rudy Gobert and his ability to challenge shots at the rim, so if you're a defender, you know, hey, I can get into my man. And if I get beat, I have a great shot blocker like Gobert or Favors behind me, guys that can take that pressure off of me. And that makes things harder. And I think that Utah, we saw last year, they were very game in the playoff series against Houston last year. If not for a Spider Mitchell injury, we might have been looking at a 7-game series because he was taking that game over in Game 6. So it'll be very interesting to see how things play out. But I think Utah does present some problems as far as their defensive efforts.
Yeah, Brendan, they have good perimeter defenders. They have good guys that are good athletes, good length. Rubio, as a point guard, can guard and get into space. They like to force him to his right. Obviously, get on his left hand. Force him right. And as you say, you have those rim protectors. You have 2 big guys back there, Favors, Gobert. Gobert, obviously, his instincts are to come to help. And this collectively as a team, the ability to sort of, close down the paint and still then get back out to shooters and when you force them to pass. And so you're not going to stop him. You're not going to slow, but you want to try to contain and slow him down, neutralize and shut everybody else down. And Utah, Quinn Snyder, got to give them credit. They've done a decent job throughout the regular season. Now in the postseason, you have even more time to lock in and focus and make adjustments as you go. In the regular season, you got a day or 2 to prepare and move on to the next game. Right. So it'll be interesting to see if they can, be as good or if not better with their collective defensive effort against Harden.
Last year they also got, speaking of Houston, they got their best from Chris Paul, who was great against Utah, including 41 in the clincher. They're going to need that again?
Yeah, I believe so. Look, Utah's a tough out. Nobody wants to see this team in the first round. This is not, and you think about through the years, just not that it matters now, but all the rivalries between these 2 teams in the playoffs and the great matches and great games. But Chris Paul is capable, been up and down with injuries, but this is the time of year where he's important. I don't know if he can go out and get 40 again, but he must have an impact in this series for Houston to win.
Can't just be Harden.
Yeah, I agree. I think he does have to have an impact, but the game has changed so much for Houston because when Chris Paul was out, they really started to use Harden in a usage rate that we haven't seen before in the league. So this series is going to be a lot different than it was last year because James Harden is playing at a different level than he was last year, and I think that impacts Chris Paul. They're going to need Chris Paul, but I'm not sure if he's going to have the same amount of freedom that he had last season. Last season, it was almost more of a 1A, 1B type situation. This year, Harden is 1A, B, and C, and then you have Chris Paul. And so I think Chris Paul still has to take advantage of his opportunities when he gets them, and he has to be aggressive. But I don't think that he's going to be needed quite as much just because they lean on Harden so much.
They split the regular season 2-2 for what that's worth, and Donovan Mitchell's playing as well as he has the entire
Spider Mitchell.
Remember how hot Utah was at the end of the season. They've been one of the best teams in the last few weeks.
Trevor Ariza's not there, and Trevor Ariza and Luke and Bob
Moute. Don't worry about it. Hey, sometimes, hey,
they did a good job on Mitchell last year, and they'll be missed in this series.
Absolutely.
Sure. All right, thanks, buddy.
What's his name again? Luke who?
Bob Moute.
Huh?
Bob Moute.
I had Russell Westbrook
Luke Skywalker. Say what?
Playoff run today against the Blazers. What to expect in that series when we come back?
I am your father,
Luke who? Wednesday night, the Blazers seemingly did everything they could to lose to the Kings and avoid the matchup with OKC. But despite playing just 6 players and falling behind by 28, they somehow still managed to beat the Kings and starting today get at least 4 more chances at beating the Thunder for the first time this season. OKC swept all 4 in the regular season. Also,
I don't think Anthony Simmons got that message. Is it Simons or
Simons.
Simons. I don't think Anthony Simons got that message. They weren't supposed to win that game.
no, he did not.
Yeah.
He played great. But here we are. They get OKC now. Portland, by the way, 1-12 over the last 3 postseasons. How much is that in the back of their minds?
Oh, I think it's definitely in the back of their minds. There is a lot of pressure on this Portland team, especially after last year. It wasn't the fact that they got beat. Anybody can get beat in the playoff series. It was the way they got beat. They were the 3 seed. They took on the Pelicans. They got punched in the mouth. They never responded, and they got swept. That's definitely Dame Lillard. We've heard him talk about that series, how much it hurt him. He said for about a month he didn't even want to watch basketball. So we know that's going to be in his mind. It's going to be in C.J. McCollum's mind. It's going to be in this team's mind. Coach Terry Stott's mind as well. They're going to have to figure out a way to get over their playoff woes from the previous seasons and find a way to take on a very tough Oklahoma City Thunder team.
Yeah, once again, it just speaks to the West. I mean, not a team you want to play in the first round.
Right.
And certainly, with Westbrook and Paul George and that crew, they're going to come out and they're going to try to punch them in the face. And so it's important. I mean, for a number of reasons, like you said, just sort of, what's happened in recent years, it's important that they come out and set the tone. It's got to be Lillard. Lillard's got to come and be the Dame Lillard that we all know he's capable of. And he needs to bring some guys along with him who can play and play at a high level.
They've won 11 of 13 down the stretch, and a bunch of that after Yusuf Nurkic went down with that horrific compound fracture against the Brooklyn Nets. Enes Kanter's become the starter. Good pickup for them, 18 and 11, 61%. Obviously, the defense is what it is on the other end. What are they going to need from him against Steven Adams, his old teammate in OKC?
Well, it's interesting. Early in the year we were talking about Nurkic and just he had to be that third guy. He has to step up. He has to be a presence. Kanter feels like he's the number one guy. He has that mentality where I need touches, I can be an impact inside, give me the ball. And so his mentality, I think, is going to be is huge and important and fits and provides what this team needs. You can pencil in Lillard, you can pencil in McCollum. You need that third guy, and particularly a guy inside. A different style than he's a back to the basket pounder, so they've had to adjust a little bit. But I do like what he's done, or what he's been able to do. And I feel his mentality will help this team, give them a little bit of toughness and presence in interior-wise.
I agree. I think Kanter has to be hyper-aggressive. He has to go out there and establish that he's going to be somebody that can be the third option, that Portland can throw the ball to, especially inside. And we know they're going to go him at the defensive end. So the biggest thing for him is he has to make sure that his offense stands out so much that it negates the fact that defensively in the pick and roll, they're going to go at him a lot. So I think he definitely has to have a huge impact. And we know he can score the ball. He rebounds well, but he's going to have those numbers and get him against a game Steven Adams. We know Steven Adams is going to be ready to play.
Big question for the Oklahoma City Thunder is obviously the health of Paul George. Is that shoulder okay? Can he be the closer he was when Oklahoma City was at their best at times this season? More coming up here on Game Time Live, leading you to Game 1 of the Pacers-Celtics series in Boston. Kyrie Irving's first playoff game as a C.